If you love true crime stories, hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Let's dive into today's case. The Disappearance of Tracy Ocasio, a mystery that haunts Ocoee. The night of May 26, 2009 began like any other for 27-year-old Tracy Ocasio. Her bubbly personality and love for her hometown sports team, the Orlando Magic, made her a regular at the Florida Tap Room in Ocoee. That night, Tracy joined the crowd to watch her team take on the Cleveland Cavaliers. She was full of excitement, cheering on every shot and exchanging smiles with the familiar faces in the bar. But as the night wore on, an ominous cloud began to settle over the storm no one could see coming. When Tracy walked out of the bar with James Hataway, a man she barely knew, it was the last time anyone saw her alive. A mother's worst fear. The following morning, panic gripped Elizabeth Ocasio when her daughter didn't come home. Tracy wasn't the type to disappear without a word. Calls to her phone went unanswered, and frantic messages to her friends yielded no new information. Then came the call that every parent dreads. A local resident had found Tracy's bright yellow Chevrolet Cobalt abandoned on Franklin Street. Elizabeth rushed to the scene, her heart racing. The sight of the car, eerily silent and parked in someone's yard, was like a punch to the gut. What she noticed next made her blood run cold. The car's front seats were pushed all the way forward. It was a small detail, but one that didn't sit right with Elizabeth. It felt deliberate, almost staged. For Elizabeth and her husband Joe, who was away on business, the nightmare had just begun. Surveillance footage and a dangerous man. Detectives quickly retraced Tracy's steps. Surveillance footage from the Florida Tap Room provided the first major clue, Tracy leaving the bar with James Hataway, a local man with a troubled history. Hataway's story was thin and riddled with inconsistencies. He claimed Tracy gave him a ride home to smoke marijuana, but when he didn't have enough for her liking, she supposedly left around 2 a.m. Yet Tracy's car was found just a few hundred yards from his house. Adding to the suspicion, Tracy's phone records showed her device still pinging near Hataway's residence at 7 a.m. hours after he claimed she had left. As investigators dug deeper, they unearthed a chilling truth about Hataway. Just a year earlier, he had attacked another young woman, Rachel Clark, in a terrifyingly similar scenario. Rachel Clark's terrifying escape. Rachel's story was haunting. She had given Hataway a ride home from a bar in 2008, much like Tracy. But when they arrived at his apartment complex, Hataway turned violent. He grabbed her, choking her as she struggled to escape. Her screams for help echoed through the night as Hataway slammed her head against the pavement, whispering the chilling words, "Don't make me kill you." Fortunately, neighbors heard her cries and intervened, forcing Hataway to flee. Rachel survived, but the trauma of that night never left her. When she saw Hataway's arrest on the news after Tracy's disappearance, Rachel immediately contacted authorities. For investigators, the parallels were too striking to ignore. The search for Tracy. As the days turned into weeks, the search for Tracy intensified. Bloodhounds, horses, and K-9 units combed through Florida's unforgiving terrain. Divers plunged into murky lakes, hoping to find any trace of the missing woman. On June 3, 2009, a black boot was discovered in a wooded area where Hataway often dumped yard debris. It matched Tracy's size and style, but no other evidence surfaced. For her family, it was a devastating blow, a cruel reminder of her absence without providing the answers they desperately needed. Tracy's father, Joe, was heartbroken. That boot, it might have been the last thing she wore. That's not something a parent should ever have to think about. Hataway's conviction. As the investigation continued, Hataway's past caught up with him. In 2011, he was convicted of attempting to murder Rachel Clark and sentenced to life in prison. For the Ocasios, it was a small comfort to know he could no longer harm anyone else, but their fight for justice was far from over. "It's hard to find peace when there are still so many unanswered questions," Joe said. "We just want to bring Tracy home." Hope amid heartbreak. Despite the years that have passed, Tracy's case remains open. Advances in forensic technology have given investigators renewed hope that evidence from her car or the black boot might one day reveal the truth. Detective David Gray believes someone out there holds the key. Hataway is behind bars for life. No one should be afraid to come forward. Even the smallest detail could give the Ocasios the closure they deserve. For Elizabeth and Joe, hope is what keeps them going. They've been overwhelmed by the kindness of their community, from volunteers joining the search to neighbors offering meals and comfort. "This week marks 13 years since Tracy vanished," Joe said. "But the love and support we've received have reminded us that we're not alone in this fight. We just want to bring her home. That's all we've ever wanted." Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more true crime stories. Stay tuned, more cases are coming your way soon.